ask you, Marjolijn, now to go back here on stage to talk about Rotterdam and how does this topic resonate in Rotterdam? Visual arts, poetry. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Well, my statement above all is that the cooperation between Rotterdam and artists lead to wonderful results. And what do we do? I work for an organization, Center for Visual Arts. We do different art programs and we are funded by the city. We are partners from the city of Rotterdam. We develop and we produce art projects. We have two art programs on public art. One is Sculpture International. To say it quickly, it's like a museum in the street. It's like high-end art, and internationally acclaimed artists are commissioned by this program. And you see a lot of sculptures like things like Picasso and I don't know. I mean, you should check it out because in Rotterdam you have so many wonderful art in the city center, and it's due to this Sculpture International program. Another program is BKR. It's like a Dutch short for art in public space. I work for this program. We work with the people from Rotterdam, so this is more locally based, the commissions we do, and we work a lot with Rotterdam-based artists as well. We do a lot of monuments, a lot of initiatives inhabitants have, and we try to co-produce it with the city or with other parties in the city. And how do we highlight the collection? Well, first of all, I'd like to tell you why we have so many sculptures in Rotterdam. It's because the city was bombed in 1940. The complete city center was vanished because of a huge fire. For a long time, the city wanted to make this area visible. So CBK, my organization, and the city, we commissioned some artists, and they were in a competition. Adriaan Geuze from West 8, which is an architect bureau, he won a prize, and his project was situated in Rotterdam. There are small light dots, and they are divided around an area of 12 kilometers, which is the area that was devastated. And in that iconic, in that graphic, you already see an iconic image for Rotterdam, which is Zatkin's destroyed city. Just to show you that maybe in Rotterdam people weren't so art-minded or didn't go to museums. They really relate to this statue. This is Rotterdam, and it's for generations already. They identify with this statue when it comes to reconstruction of the city and the resilience of the Rotterdam people. So you see this wonderful big light that was put on it. It's like a searchlight. That's what it resembles. This is also an important, iconic image for people from Rotterdam. It's a poem, and it says, "All of worth is defenseless." Let's say with this sculpture of Zatkin and this poem, the Dutch were reconstructing their city and working in a no-nonsense city, you know, a harbor city. There was not much art going on, the people didn't have time, and the city was a bit harsh and a bit dark for a long time. Now it's very festive. So this related to the people when they saw this. And when something happens to a work of art like this, everybody is calling. So it belongs to the people. So even Rotterdam organized a festival to celebrate 75 years of reconstruction. It was in 2016, and we, with the art collection, wanted to present some sculptures from all over the city. We uprooted them from the areas and put them together in a sculpture park. And important, we told the stories behind the sculptures when they were initiated, and they resemble decades of also art history, in fact, of art in public space. It was very well appreciated by the people to have a look around a big sculpture park in this way. We had 2 light events, small light events. We had the subject of the vanishing post-war architecture, which was modernistic and had a lot of art on it. And the whole city center has gone through such a transformation again the last 2 decades that these kind of works of art, like these birds, they disappeared. But also these works were the art for the people during decades when the city was very empty and very not culturally alive. So we said we bring back the birds, and we asked a party to make a video, an animation. And we found a building with some stone walls, because buildings are all glass now in Rotterdam, so you can't have a video mapping anywhere. But we managed to find one. We also had a big projector from Eindhoven. We worked together with people from Glow. And this projector draws lines on another monument. It was like a gateway from Rotterdam, which was demolished during the bombardment and was not rebuilt, because Rotterdam chose not to rebuild or restore after the bombing. They really wanted to be a new, like, American modernistic city. So this gateway, an artist in Rotterdam called Kraat, he did a lot of work to make it possible to create a big maquette of this gateway and put it exactly on the place it used to be. And the city changed it around, changes, of course, around it. And even now the city planners would like to get rid of this great piece of art because it's really in the way, but we leave it there, of course. And so the big this cannon, he drew all the lines of the monument, and poets were reciting at the same time about Rotterdam. So this was an art and poetry project. Even a lot of sculptures in the city, poets were commissioned to write a poem about that specific sculpture, and people could go and visit it and listen to it on the headphones. Okay, another thing, what role do artists play in the development of the city? So we have a lot of gentrified areas, you all know this, and in this area, Katendrecht, which was a former light district, it is now very booming and gentrified, and everybody wants to go there and live there, and a lot of tourists come there. But in the time when it was not like that, and it was still like a building pit, there was a group of artists, and they suggested to the city to do a light and art project, which was quite new in those days, with coming up of LED lighting. And because they were talking a lot and it was hard to get some visual effects, we said, you have to make sure they can see you, that they know that you're there. And so they lit this cube in green, and it was still an old industrial building that is still working now. The factory is still in there. And from afar you could say, hey, there's a green light, these people are working on something. So it was not only talk, but also work. And we put together with the artists a light designer to help them to do these things. And from one thing, this beautiful project, one thing led to another. Broken Light, maybe you guys know this project. It's from Rudolf Teunis, it's fantastic. If you walk through the street, you're surrounded by light, and everybody loves the work. It was pioneering as, now, I won't say a bad word, but it was pioneering, and the city of Rotterdam was a great partner for us and the artists to maintain this work and to bring it to another level. And it's still there. And the interesting part is that it's the most simple street in this gentrified area, and it has a fantastic lighting. And then you get that everybody wants light. If you do a project like that, city developers, they say, oh, we also want to do something with light and art. And surely in those days, a lot of projects were initiated. So this is a big building on the Kop van Zuid, also an area that is already booming. And maybe you know the big building, the Rotterdam from Rem Koolhaas. This is a building by Alvaro Siza. Well, the thing is, there is a cinema situated in there. It was like a boxed-in design. So left over was a giant 8-meter-long hallway, and there was nothing there, and it was on street level. So that was not a great idea. And the board of the cinema asked us to work with Jeannie Vos, a famous light designer from Holland. And this is an animation. I cannot show you it, but it's based on the pictures of Newbridge, like the horse and the man who's on the back. And then you see stripes of LED light changing the whole view of this animation. It flickers and it makes the place really alive. This is the right to right, the right to wrong. It's Joep van Lieshout, maybe you know him as well. He has an artist hub in an area that is under development. And on a big building, he worked together with two artists, Libya and Oliver. And they question how do the developments consider what's right and wrong for the city. And can artists still be based in those areas after they are gentrified, and I'm sure Joep van Lieshout doesn't want to leave there and wants to put his mark on the area. So we work on that. This is a temporary project from Sculpture International. They invited Adrian Luca, and in a subway station he created a yellow free zone. It's a very interesting technical story, and I'd say you probably have to invite him to talk about this because he's really a good artist, and I cannot reproduce all the technical insights, but he manufactures all of this himself, and the subway people, they removed all the advertisement for this work of art, so we thought that was really great. This is just a small one to show you how it works in Rotterdam with people who have initiatives. This is a project about commemorating Dutch jazz artists, and the whole street is full of murals, and they're working on it for years now. And then comes the question, oh, we need light. We really want to have a light on one of these works. So we worked with a light artist, light designer, and we lit one of the works, and maybe in a couple of years the whole street has a different look and feel, because these projects tend to walk on, and people, they never stop creating, the people in Rotterdam themselves, when it comes to public space. How do we bring these stories to the public? Then I have the route map. We work Central for Visual Art. We maintain this vast collection of sculptures together with the city of Rotterdam. So they are our partners, and they are hardware people. And they said, well, we can never present what we do with lighting in the city, at least not in Rotterdam. That's not so easy. And so we've been together, Willem Redijk, who's been part of the LUCI family for a very long time. And we suggested, why don't we put our best practices together and create a map that tells about this, the nightscape of Rotterdam. And we were so bold to call our city a city of light and poetry, because our city is known for no nonsense, hardworking, and etc. And now we thought, why don't we start a softer approach through the presentation of this nightscape? So some best practices. So this is the route map. I have some here with me. We really like the three themes like architecture, art, and poetry. I can go on about poetry. In Rotterdam, it's always been a part of our culture. We have a known festival, Poetry International, so that really belongs to Rotterdam to use poetry as a medium. And a lot of poetry lines are visible in the streets, and also a lot of lit poetry. People still want them. They want art, they want light art, we want poetry. They always want art in their area, in their street. This is just some examples of the route map, how interesting it can be to lit existing artworks. We work together with light designers. This is a beautiful design from Karel Martens, a poem by Judith Hertzberg, and it's for a children's hospital. Interesting is that in the daytime you don't see it at all. It's linear LED with in between the brickwork. Only when the street lights go on, this poem is visible, and it's about hope and acceptation. This is the quite a not so attractive building from the maintenance people, the garbage collectors, and it has a great poem like Cities Don't Shelter from the Rain. It was also put there together with Poetry International. And this is an example when these maintenance guys, when we are at the table, they say, I don't know nothing about art, and I don't even like art. And then we do this project and they say, this is so great. So that's mainly what happens in Rotterdam. And Poetry International started in the 80s a nice garbage truck project where poetry lines were put on garbage trucks so that as many people could get to know them. Example from the route map, beautiful bridges in Rotterdam. We have 3 main bridges over the River Maas between the north and the south bank. And this is we call this the Eiffel Tower of Rotterdam. Can you imagine? And last but not least, this beautiful red bridge by the Studio DL made this line design. And it was recently finished. And it's red during the daytime, and it's radiant red in the nighttime. And even at the bridge, there's an art piece hanging. So when we still had the art and percentage rule, art was all over the place. And now we fund art in a different way. And we still manage to do that because there's so many initiative and willingness in Rotterdam to create art together with the people.